Welcome to the virtual service for the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. I'm Jay Leach, one of this community's ministers, and my pronouns are he, him, his. It is summer. It is the solstice, writes William Carlos Williams in his surprisingly disturbing little poem, The Crowd at the Ball Game. And so it is. This very day, the propitious day on which the sun, soul, is still. The stis part from the Latin root verb sistere, to stand. Having climbed degree by degree up through the vernal heavens, today our solar star stands at its zenith, leading the ancients to see its movement as halted, still. It was for them an auspicious occasion, honored and celebrated and endowed with meaning. There's evidence to suggest that the solstice stood out from the annual cycle as far back as Neolithic times, a stone-aged celebration of the sun's stillness. And for those who base their spirituality in the rhythm of the earth, including some of our own members, the solstice remains a day set apart from others for special attention. Today, in the spirit of the solstice, this sun stillness day, we offer words and images and music, inviting us to explore this notion of stillness. It is perhaps ironic, just as many of us are finally able to get up, get out, and get moving again. Why would we want to be still? Perhaps it is this. Over these past many months, some of us discovered or rediscovered something that we just might not want to lose. We learned or we relearned the benefit of quiet, calm, of times listening to birds sing or streams flow. We're not thinking immediately about, as we sing, the fret and fever of the day. And before we forget completely, today invites us to reflect again on this notion of stillness. Thanks for being a part. If you're a guest, you can reach out to our membership coordinator, Kelly Green, for more about us. Whether member or guest, you can go now to our public Facebook page and post greetings to one another. Welcome. We look to the heavens, to the lights we find there, and our souls are filled with wonder. We look deep within to our own inner glow, and our souls are filled with wonder. And so we light our chalice, sacred symbol of our liberating religion. In its light, may we find new meaning for all of our lives. We humans have been around for a while now, something like, let's say 200,000 years. While our planetary home has been whirling its way through space with cyclical consistency, 365 and 1/4 days per solar cycle, here on Earth it has been a far different story. For almost the entirety of our existence, we were walkers and on occasion runners. We moved across the land at a particular pace, never any faster than around 8 miles an hour. We were about 195,000 years into our time on Earth when we first mounted the backs of horses. But that was a mode of movement available only to a few, and we still couldn't really cover very much ground in a short period of time. So, relatively speaking, it was just the other day when the advent of the steam engine suddenly enabled our not very distant forebears to move at a speed heretofore unimaginable. The earliest railways in England blasted down the tracks at a sustained speed of 20 to 30 miles per hour, about 3 times faster than a stagecoach. Lecturing in 1844, Ralph Waldo Emerson named railroad iron as a magician's rod. Part of the magic, he said, is that he experienced distance annihilated. With this one development, human life left the slow lane and accelerated at warp speed past all previous movement. Mark C. Taylor, in his book Speed Limits, Where Time Went and Why We Have So Little Left, explains, during the early years, there were numerous accounts of the experience of railway travel by ordinary people, distinguished writers, and even physicians in which certain themes recur. The most common complaint is a sense of disorientation brought about by the experience of unprecedented speed. With the landscape incessantly rushing by faster than it could be apprehended, people suffered overstimulation, which created a sense of psychological exhaustion and physical distress. Some physicians went so far as to maintain that the experience of speed caused neurasthenia, neuralgia, nervous dyspepsia, early tooth decay, and even premature baldness. It calls to mind that New Yorker cartoon with two snails on the back of a turtle. One is calling out to the other, "Hold on to your hat, here we go." Now, of course, it is a bit laughable. Were we confined to traveling at the speed of those early trains, it would be immensely frustrating. We'd waste so much time just trying to get from one place to another, and would experience a level of impatience akin to trading in your smartphone for a telegraph station. Technology has done those privileged to enjoy it a tremendous favor. In a very short span, we've picked up enormous speed, traveling at ever dizzying speeds, while striving not just for ways to go faster, but of course, to do everything faster. We might wonder, however, after the passage of all but the last couple of 100 years in a 200,000-year adventure at another pace, whether our psyches, our souls, have had time to catch up. And of course, this little reflection on the accelerated pace of land travel is echoed in the pace of many of our lives. Our bodies recently cast into ever faster motion, remaining now in perennial fast motion, trying to keep up, trying to keep pace. And what of the speed of our thoughts? It is not for nothing that we speak of our minds racing. When, like the myth of the sun on this day, when do we ever in our waking experience have not just motionlessness, but stillness? For stillness is joy, observed that ancient sage Zhuangzi. But stillness doesn't just happen. Stillness isn't a part of our fixed cycles imprinted into our annual motion like dual solstices in such a way that it is guaranteed to occur. Stillness is something we have to make happen consciously, spiritually. Stillness is actually more about what we don't do than about some kind of doing. And in a world that rewards us for what we do, is a counterintuitive, countercultural kind of act. It is about the choice to carve out time to quiet ourselves, to calm ourselves, intentionally to stop doing. Stillness is not about some prescribed meditation technique. It requires no special pants or mat, doesn't discriminate on the basis of race or economic capability or physical ability or age. Stillness is about the simple yet astoundingly challenging choice to do nothing. How else can I say this? To be still in body, in mind, in spirit. Stillness is commended in one way and another by every spiritual tradition. While today we might look especially to those earth-based traditions, might attend to their paths, their ways of it, stillness is a part of all spiritual paths, a necessary aspect of the journey. It invites each of us to claim the rhythm of our lives rather than have that set by external expectations or demands. It invites us to align our lives with the larger order of things, with the ways in which nature takes intentional pauses. No matter the pace of things, no matter how fast we develop the capacity to move, we continue to need stillness. And in fact, we may need it now more than ever. Today we do bid a happy solstice, especially to our members who are moved by earth-based spiritualities. We also wish our fathers, stepfathers, grandfathers, father figures a very happy Father's Day. I was living in Texas when I learned the real meaning of Juneteenth. In observing for the very first time Juneteenth yesterday as a federal holiday, we join with those who hope that this will be one more step in our nation's long journey toward truth-telling, toward honesty about our history and its impact on our present, toward racial equity and the justice for which we long. If you are watching this on Sunday morning, then I remind you that we are enjoying Summer Sing again today on the grounds at 234, along with opportunities for our children. Join us at 11 a.m. for an in-person opportunity to sing together. Be mindful of currents and our website as we begin programming around our summer theme. We'll be reflecting on the questions, what roots you? What grounds you? What makes you who you are? In services and in adult religious education, spiritual development opportunities, we'll be sharing with one another in more personal, more relational ways this summer. Part of what makes us who we are as a community is our care for one another, especially in challenging times. We continue to hold with love and in our prayers those experiencing physical or mental health challenges, those caring for a family member or a friend in need, those grieving losses in these past days, weeks, or months. We especially remember on this day our member Kathy Spencer, who died this week, and we hold Joe Spencer and Kathy's family and friends in loving sympathy as they grieve. Please reach out to me or to Eve Stevens, our other minister, if you have a need. Your generosity continues to make our community possible. In this time, we invite you not to remain still or quiet, but rather to make a special financial contribution that can help support and sustain us. Thank you for all you give. Be still, says Lao Tzu. Stillness reveals the secrets of eternity. I find that to be so, and not. Sometimes being still offers me keen insights I would have missed at my usual pace. Sometimes the benefit is simply the stillness itself. If we're going to practice the spiritual discipline of stillness, it cannot be for the payoff, the benefit, doing it because we think being still will make us more productive or even more insightful. Stillness is for stillness' sake. Our personal, relational, professional, social lives call on so much from us. Life in these times, in these ever troubling times, calls on so much from us. Disengagement for most of us is not an option. Indifference for all of us is a spiritually detrimental choice. But if we are going to avoid our own form of motion sickness, we must not be single-mindedly focused on keeping our lives moving. As we sometimes sing, from all the fret and fever of the day, let there be moments when we turn away. And then, of course, find a stillness. I invite us now to a time of meditation, to quiet and still ourselves, to settle in more deeply to the space where you now find yourself, and to close your eyes. Words by the Unitarian Universalist minister of blessed memory, the Reverend Jacob Trapp. Let our minds be quiet. Let the quietness of the hills, the quietness of deep waters be also in us. So quiet that the noise of passing events and present anxieties, of random recollections and wandering thoughts is stilled. So quiet that the marvelous stillness is like music. So quiet that we feel the very being, which is the life of us all. So quiet that we are renewed. We feel at one with all others, at home in a tabernacle of stillness. So quiet that we sense the ripples of this pool of quietness and healing pass through us and out to the furthest star. A friend and colleague of blessed memory, the Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones, in words that appear in the back of our gray hymnal, wrote, "We extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again."